Good morning, and thank you for turning into Exeter BFC's morning devotionals. For those who've been following us, usually on Fridays we are going through the Minor Prophets, and this week we're up to the book of Amos. Now, when you think of Amos, you usually think, well, Amos is in the Bible, and he's a pretty famous guy, like famous Amos cookies. But that's not the case. See, Amos was a simple guy. He was a farmer from the southern kingdom. What we call today, we might call Amos a country bumpkin, because he was just a farmer and he was a sheep herder. But God placed on Amos's heart to go talk to the northern kingdom leader, his name was Jeroboam II. And Jeroboam II was an evil leader. He was full of injustice and righteousness. He was allowing pagan worship, and he was allowing the richer to become richer and oppressing the poor people. Now, if I had to give you a bird's eye view from the book of Amos, we could break it down into three sections. Chapter 1 and 2 are Amos's messages to the nations and Israel. Chapters 3 and 6 are a collection of Amos's poems. And chapters 7 through 9 are Amos's visions on God's coming judgment to Israel. Now, what I would like you to take away, or what I've taken away from the book of Amos, is two subjects that I would like to share with you. The first one, like I said earlier, Amos was just a simple man. And we know that he was a simple man from verses 7-14. Amos is talking to the priests from the northern kingdom. The northern priest's name was Amaziah. Close enough, sorry. And basically, Amaziah was accusing Amos of wanting just to get to the rude leader Jeroboam, and he accused Amos, saying, "Hey, just go back to your own territory and preach." And Amos pretty much replied, picking up in verses 7-14. Then Amos answered and said to Amaziah, I was no prophet, nor I was a son of a prophet, but I was a sheep keeper and a tender of sycamore fruit. See, what I gather from this is Amos was just a simple man, called to do something great for God. How many times have we been burdened by God to go do something great, and we just hide by the fact, no, I'm not talented, I'm not skilled enough. But if God calls us to do something, he's going to equip us. So as we go forward, if God's calling you to do something, go ahead and do it and trust in him and not on your own ability. Another thing that I think we can apply from the book of Amos is the name Amos is burden bearer. See, God placed on Amos's heart the burden of God's people. God's people were the Jewish people, and we know from Genesis 12 that they are his people. And God himself freed the Jewish people from oppression. And what we learn from Amos is that the rich people, the rich Jews, were oppressing their own people. They were just getting richer and making the poor poorer, and there wasn't even a year of Jubilee in the book of Amos, and they were just oppressing them. And this angered God, and God's like, I ain't having any of this. You're not oppressing any of my own people. So Amos pretty much stood up for the poor people and intervened for God. So what about in our own lives? Do we stand up for God's people, or do we continue to oppress them and push them down? So my hope this weekend is maybe find some time, maybe get a box of cookies, find a quiet place, open up the book of Amos, and let God speak to you. And maybe you'll find something from the book of Amos. And if you do, I would love for you to share it with me. Thank you and have a great day.